Hello, I always look forward to Mondays so we can stamp together. I'm Creative Juice by Lonnie, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today is a day that we're going to talk more about the bundle sale that is happening in June of 2024. Of course, you can make this card at any time, but this bundle, which is usually $52 for the stamps and the dies, is on sale this month for $46.25, along with all of our other stamp and die bundles. Usually, the stamp plus the dies are already discounted 10%, but this month you get an additional 10%. So this is why I'm using it today. But this fun fold card is one that you can make with any of the stamps and supplies that you already have on hand. This also comes in a suite, in the Flowering Zinnia suite. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what is included. This is in the bundle. The bundles include the stamps and the dies. So we've got some stamps here and some stamped images that are cut out with the dies, as well as dies that don't have a coordinating stamp, but can be layered together. We're going to show, a fun way to use these. So hello and hi, Carlene. Glad that you're here today, stamping with us. And we're going to move to this view so you can see up close and personal. So there's our Simply Zinnia bundle. In the suite, you also get the designer series paper, as well as a couple of other things. I think it's this Zinnia 3D embossing folder. Let's find something that will show it to you a little better. Can you see these pretty zinnias? And I'll show you a finished project alternative to what I'm using today. So these bright, beautiful, bold patterns are in the paper. Do you have a favorite flower? While you're checking in, say hello and tell me what your favorite flower is. I love anything that is bright. So Gerber daisies, zinnias, anything that has a wow pop of color. Summer is my favorite. Well, summer is not my favorite season. Autumn is my favorite season, but the colors of summer are my favorite. So tell me what yours is. I'd love to hear that. Carlene says roses. So you can never have too many stamps that are flowers, right? Hopefully you can never have too many of those. So today we're going to take a piece. Let me tell you what you need here. So if in case sounds like a good thing to say, you want to stamp along with me or craft along with me, this is a very simple fun fold card. You need a card base that is 11 inches by 4¼ inches. I scored mine at 2 3/4 and 5½ All right. And then you'll need another piece, and I'm using both of these as white. You're welcome to use whatever color you have. Crumb cake, that beautiful new basic beige, whatever. This top card is 8½ inches long by 3 inches wide, and I scored it in the middle at 4 1/4. Then you'll have some other pieces that you may need, and you could use designer series paper. I'm going to make my own paper today with the bundle. So I have a piece of berry burst that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. A piece of daffodil delight that is 2 3/4 inches by 4. And a coastal cabana that is 2½ by 4 inches. Now, I am not using the designer series paper, although some of these colors are in that flowering zinnia designer series paper. Not all, but some of them are. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is fold my card base, and you want to fold the 2 1/4 inch, 2 3/4 inch side down, and then back, so kind of a Z fold on that 1/2 inch one. So your card looks like this. That's the beginning of your card base. You can fold this one in half at this point too. Remember that the valley is on the outside of your card. The mountain goes on the inside. So you've got those two, and you can set them aside for just a moment. let's work on some background. I want just a little subtle background on both this piece and my Coastal Cabana piece. So I'm using a stamp, using the Zinnia stamp from the set, and I'm going to stamp all over both of my papers. And I'm using, you could use the same color, like a berry burst on a berry burst, a Coastal Cabana ink on a Coastal Cabana paper, but I am using the Versamark pad, which gives us a watermark on any color of paper that you're using, so you don't have to use as many stamp pads. And I like to turn my image a little bit. Oops, it's a very sticky stamp pad. And you want to stamp off the edge. Don't want to trap your images on the inside of anywhere. So I've got a little bit of a design. Can you see that? And it will darken up a little bit as it dries, but not too much. It will just look like I've stamped the same color on top of the same color. So same thing down here. Let's just get you could use the leaves as well, but I'm just, for time's sake, I'm just using the flower. So I've got those two backgrounds. It's a very subtle background. And then we're going to glue them onto our card base. This one we'll set aside with our small card for just a minute. I'm going to use snail, that was what we used to call it, seal, to glue this to the inside right here like this. Don't worry if there's not an image stamped in the middle of this piece, because we're going to cover it up anyway. So that goes on the inside piece of your card. And then this 4" by 2.5" piece goes on the front like so. Easy. All right, the next one, we're going to layer our yellow, onto the white card. You could do a background on this one, but I'm not going to on this card because I did on my alternate sample card, which uses the embossing folder. I'm going to put it on this side. Okay, there we go. Doesn't matter. Leaving a little edge all the way around, so you've got some color. It kind of looks color blocked. This one, now we're going to glue this whole card right into the center. Open it up, bring your other card in, and you're going to put it right in the center so that the front flap overlaps the blue part and the other piece is on the inside, just like that. Very pretty. We've got our base of our card. Now we need to do a little die cutting. So I'm going to use a lot of different pieces. I'm going to just show you one cutting out 3 of them at one time. So bringing in our mini cut and emboss. If you do choose, that one goes on to my sample. Oops, sorry. If you do choose to buy the suite, you'll probably want to get the large cut and emboss machine, because the embossing folder does not fit into the mini machine. But I have the mini machine out on my desk all the time to cut images quickly. And so we're going to cut 2 of our zinnia flowers and a leaf at the same time. Work smarter, not harder. We'll put those on with making a sandwich with the dies and the paper in between the 2 clear cutting pads here. I like that it's not electric, because then you can even craft when the lights are out. And we've had a couple of power outages recently, so that may be an important thing. Okay, we'll set that aside and get our zinnias out. Now, a little tip I wanted to give to you, which will be very helpful as you use these dies. You have one the one with the large center has kind of a big gap between these two top petals, and then though it's kind of like a V in your hand or your toes. So I like to keep that one up. This big V goes up to the top, the biggest gap between the petals, and then find your fattest petal, and it's just opposite of two petals that are kind of together. And when you lay those together, it makes a perfect zinnia. But if you don't remember that little tip, you'll be going like this, trying to figure out how it works best. But you want to find this. So this one has kind of a little divot in the end of the petal, and that little petal with a divot and the end is going to go right between the gap. Okay, then you won't spend a lot of time like I did for the first couple of days, spinning it around, trying to figure out how it fit together. So I'm using a glue dot to glue those two together. Oh, well, I would if it wasn't always on the back of my finger. I guess I got one anyway. And then I've done the same thing with a calypso coral. So here, let's find our big gap. There's our big gap. Here's my one with a divot, and there's a glue dot on my finger. So that one with a divot goes right between the two gaps. I hope that's helpful for you because it will really save you time in putting these two together. All right, so we have our two flowers kind of created. Let's put some centers on them. This is another one of the dies. And I find you could use your liquid glue, your multi-purpose liquid glue to put these together. But I find that glue dots are less messy and really quick. I learned at a youth conference not long ago that nature quite often uses complementary colors or colors across the spectrum from each other. So orange is opposite of blue, and that's why I chose those colors. So I have the center, then there's this little centerpiece, a little ring of flowers. That's also a die. So I cut this one out of Pool Party and this one out of the Coastal Cabana, which is just a hero color, is what we call that, where they work together. Let me bring this close so you can see it. And that's just a little bit darker. And you can do, I'm going to put that one on with my liquid glue. Just a little dots of blue on the flowers. We'll adhere that to around our flower. And I'm only going to do that on one. You could do it on both, but I don't think every flower is the same. So I like to have subtle differences between the flowers so that they all have their own unique look. So we'll put that on there. Hopefully it'll stick and not to my fingers that are also sticky. Got 3 leaves, 2 flowers. Then I have this little piece that I also cut out, which was a stem and with 2 leaves. And I put a glue dot on that. Here's another one of our cute dies, and it kind of makes a small blossom. So those are the pieces we're going to use. Oh, I should have stamped this before I put it on. Oops, sorry, that's okay. We can still do it. Thanks, Heather. I'm glad you like that. Now I'm using black, our Memento black. I'm just going to stamp, thank you very much. I'm going to bring it down here so I can hopefully stamp it straight. So thank you so much. And then we can put on our flowers. So I'm going to use a glue dot. No, I'm going to use a dimensional on the back of each of these flowers. I'll put the Calypso coral at the top because I don't want to put this one up here with the berry burst at the same. Don't want to have too much of that berry burst on the top, but I can put it down here. In fact, I'm going to kind of sneak it under like this. There we go. I can use glue dots again or my liquid glue to adhere some leaves. We'll just tuck them under. And I kind of like them coming out or across the frame, the white frame. And I'm only putting glue in the bottom part just in case I do decide to let them hang off the frame. Then I don't have glue trying to stick itself to pieces where I don't want it to be. Let's put this one down here. Yeah. And then finally, this little card, this little piece on our card. We'll stick him right back here. Okay. Oh, hey, Megan, aka Mary. I'm glad you're here. It's always fun when my friends are here to stamp with me. So this is our first sample with the stamped background, and then you would open it up like this, and you can write inside in both of those places. It also happens to stand up really well. I know you can't see that, but it can stand right up. You could add some more embellishment, some bling if you wanted to, but I think that the colors really speak for themselves on this one. Now I did a second version using that beautiful Zinnia 3D embossing folder, and see, look at the detail on that. Oh, I just think that's so pretty with the embossing. So you've got the stamped background or the embossed background. Both are beautiful, but if you don't have a die machine, those are also 10% off this month. So you only have 6 more days to take advantage of this bundle sale, as well as either or 10% off on either and or both of the mini stamp and cut and emboss machine or the regular cut and emboss machine, which you would want if you were using the die, the Zinnia die. Or here's one, if you don't, you can use the mini machine on this version, because it doesn't need to have anything but the flowers cut out. Oh, I do too. I do too, Mary. I really love the embossed one, but I wanted you to see both versions. I know that sometimes we collect a lot of flower images, but this one is so unique. The zinnias are just fun to play with. Once you figured out how to put them together, that handy little tip will make you want to create as many different colors of zinnias as you possibly can. And I think it's just a fun card. So you can stand it up. One other little tip I was going to share with you, since you have to cut a piece of cardstock in half to make this card, you could use the other half and fold it in half and simply mount it to the back of this card. Then you have kind of a 3D mountain that looks like this. And then you could write more in it. Maybe you have a lot of people who want to say something. So you could say something on the front of the card, and then you could open up the card, because this one would be glued to the back of it. And it also helps it to stand a little bit straighter, but it's not necessary for this card style. But there's just your options, giving you all the options. That's what I'm here for. Oh, thank you guys for your kind comments. We'll be back next Monday. If it will be a different month. So we're going to have lots of new things happening in July. I know that there's some fun things coming. I can't tell you what. But we'll be back on Monday, July 1st, and just in time for you to go celebrate. But we'll squeeze in a little bit of crafting before then, because this is Creative Juice. All right. Thanks so much. And you can, last little thing I better let you know. You can shop for all of these. I will put these on my blog today. You can shop for all of these supplies at creativejuicebylani.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Share this with your crafty friends, and we'll see you next Monday.